When I was in my first year of college, I would get tons of brain fog every single day. I'd come to class, not be able to follow it. I would not be able to contribute to group projects, I would get bad grades, I would feel horrible in the afternoon. And soon I realized that that was because of food. So I started cleaning my diet up. I stopped eating ultra processed foods, I added more whole grains, I added more vegetables, and I started to eat a healthy diet. And what happened? I would still get brain fog, I would still be bloated as hell, I would still feel bad. And so I was like, what's the problem then? And I was like, yeah, maybe because I'm eating too much. I'm eating too much food. So I started tracking calories. So I bought this like little kitchen scale from Amazon and I started meticulously tracking every single calorie with an Excel that I created. That's average engineer behavior. I created basically this spreadsheet which would calculate my macros, my calories. I wanted to include micros too, but that was way too much pain in the ass, so I stopped. And for the first couple of days it felt great. Yeah, I'm in a caloric deficit, I'm gonna lose weight. 2 weeks later, I've gained 2 pounds. For no reason. So I was like, what the hell? Like, I was so pissed off. I quit writing down all the calories. I started eating again as much as I wanted. And guess what? 2 weeks later, I lost weight. That's really interesting. Like, I was restricting myself. I was trying to force myself to eat less during these 2 weeks, and this made me gain weight. And then I lost this weight while eating as much as I usually want. And then everything changed when I quit my healthy diet. My diet was like the Mediterranean diet. It was a bunch of whole grains, vegetables, a little meat here and there, and olive oil. And I decided to quit that to get onto a more primal diet, more meat, more fat, less grains, and fruit instead of grains. And this changed everything. I actually started losing weight. I actually started feeling much better. I was much more productive in class. I was able to get such good grades that I actually became the best student in my class. It was insane. And all of this happened because I stopped eating grains, which are supposed to be healthy, and started eating fat, which is supposed to be bad for you. And I wasn't even in ketosis because I was still eating fruit. I was like in and out of ketosis. I still got carbs from fruit and from sugar, from honey, but I felt significant improvements in my cognitive ability, my body composition, and my general well-being. I just felt better. So here's something I would usually never say, but I'm gonna make one exception today. If you're already eating a healthy diet and you're sticking to it, but you're still fat and brain foggy, it may not be your fault. It may actually be just the simple fact that your diet is wrong. Your diet is not consistent with our genetics, which is the case of most diets, including the Mediterranean diet. I've noticed something really interesting happening to me back in my Mediterranean days. I would eat all of these grains and I would always feel like adding more, even though they were supposed to be like a healthy food. All of this whole grain rice and whole wheat pasta, I would always add more and more. Like every single meal, I would add a little more. I would start like at around 80 grams per meal. Then I would 100, 120, 140. I would always increase the size of the serving for some reason. It just felt so good to eat all of this rice. But once I quit all of these healthy grains and replaced them with sugary honey and fruit, I actually felt much better and I wouldn't eat nearly as much of them as I used to eat grains. I would easily be satisfied with just one apple at the end of the meal, which is like a fraction of calories of a rice bowl. And surprisingly enough, when I replaced the complex carbohydrates with simple sugars, I actually felt much better and I had much less brain fog and much less carb crash. Well, why is that? Well, because in rice, the sugars are in form of starch, which is like a long chain of glucose molecules. But here's the thing, this starch is broken down really quickly into simple glucose molecules. So you're gonna get a bunch of glucose in one go. And because you're eating a whole bowl of it, you're gonna overwhelm your entire system with the amount of sugar. But when you eat something like an apple instead, or a teaspoon of honey, what you get instead is a mix of glucose and fructose. And even though these sugars are simple, for example, fructose is gonna take a longer route. It's gonna have to be processed by your liver before your body can actually use it as a sugar. So that's already slowing down half of the sugar. And because you're eating much less of it, from the nature of it being sweet and satiating, you're simply not gonna get nearly as much sugar as you would get from rice. So you're not gonna get any spikes and the crash which is gonna follow it. Your body is not stupid. stupid. Your body is a very complex biomachine which is capable of maintaining homeostasis. Homeostasis is basically the idea that your body always tries to return to its most healthy state. But some things in the modern environment are preventing it from doing this. And one of them is the weird modern diet. Modern diet which is full of carbohydrates, full of grains, not enough meat, not enough fat. If you're eating a natural diet which your body knows how to deal with, you can eat as much as you want and your body is gonna stay perfectly lean. Well, it's not gonna go below like 10% body fat because that's an extreme case. That is like not exactly healthy. That is what people do to look good. That is one exception where you need to track calories even on a healthy diet. If you wanna really go super lean and have all of this definition, yep. But if you just want to look and be healthy, all you need to do is really fix your diet and make it more natural, and your body is gonna deal with the rest. Your body can regulate its satiety, it can regulate its homeostasis. You can actually lose all of that excess weight if you just switch away from modern, weird, ultra-processed foods towards natural foods. Things like meat, especially red meat, fat, organ meats if you want, and fruit. Like this is all you need to do really. So this is why people who always try to meticulously track their calories are usually fat, unable to lose weight. They lose some weight and then they regain all of it back and sometimes even more. And this is basically a non-efficient strategy. If you cannot eat as much food on your diet as you want and stay lean, it means that the diet is wrong and you need to change it up. Something is wrong with the diet, as simple as that. Essentially, all you need to do to get rid of brain fog and lose weight and feel better is just switch to a more natural diet. I know it sounds easier said than done, but actually after a couple of months of eating naturally, I don't even feel like eating junk food. Like a bag of chips doesn't excite me anymore. I don't feel like it's good. It's too salty, it's too crunchy, it's annoying. It doesn't taste like steak or fruit, so I don't like it. It actually becomes so easy that you will never switch back. You just need to grind through the first couple of weeks and get used to it, make it your habit, make it your life, eating naturally, eating like your ancestors ate. And it's gonna change everything for you. And you may not realize this yet, but just by switching your diet away from ultra-processed bullshit and to a more natural diet is gonna transform your life. You're gonna feel much better. You're gonna have much more energy. You're gonna always be excited. I find it really weird because when I'm around my friends who are they're like students, they eat junk food and bullshit, I'm always the most excited guy. I always have the most energy. Yesterday I went on a weekend trip with other students to the northern coast of France, and there was basically this huge cliff hanging over the English Channel. And so there was like the sea and there was the cliff, and on the other side of the cliff there was like this huge slope with beautiful grass, very nice, very soft grass. And while everyone else was just like walking around and being kind of lazy, I was the only guy who was like running up and down the hills. I was like, yeah, it's super exciting. There's like this trail and there's like abandoned German bunker from World War II, and I climbed inside the bunker and everyone told me like, no, don't go there, bro, what the hell, like it's disgusting. I went inside and literally like 10 seconds later everyone followed me. Everyone got super excited, everyone wanted to get inside, and then again 10 minutes later I was like, I saw this huge slope and I decided to roll down on it. I literally laid down and I rolled, like I tumbled down the slope. And everyone was like, what the hell are you doing? But then one guy was like, oh, that sounds fun. And he started doing this too. And everyone else actually followed me and ended up rolling down the hill, even though they were criticizing me for being way too energetic before. It's insane how much energy this diet is gonna give you. We ended up having so much fun, like doing these almost childish activities, but I don't think they are actually childish. I think they're just natural. The thing is, modern fun, I don't find it fun at all. Things like scrolling on TikTok and going and partying and being sleep deprived and drinking alcohol, I don't find these things fun at all. In fact, I find them extremely lame. Like, this is so stupid. Look, you sit there and you like, it's funny. Like you literally, like, people laugh like this nowadays. This is insane. Insane how far away from true happiness we have stranded with all of these modern addictions and modern fun. The funniest thing you could do today is find a hill and roll down. This is literally like 90% happiness maxing. People don't know how to have fun anymore, and that is because everyone is so metabolically unhealthy that they don't enjoy physical activity anymore. When you're eating natural food, it makes you so healthy that physical activity becomes the main source of fun. Physical activity, socializing, doing simple stuff, things which are literally like free. You don't have to pay for alcohol, you don't have to pay for anything. Just go to a hill and roll down from it with your friends. That is like the message I'm trying to spread, because it feels so much better to live like that. And I sincerely hope that the same thing can happen to you. So yep, I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next time.